So today I thought we would talk about my first pens, what got me started on this whole obsession, I guess you could say. um, yeah, so we're using the Clairefontaine dot grid sketchpad as our paper today. I was digging around in my stuff last week and I found this thing. This thing. So it has like a Mickey Mouse on it. This was the first ever fountain pen that I got. It's so tiny. I got this, let's see, almost 10 years-ish ago. It's about something like $1.50 or something. Yeah. It came with its own ink cartridges, but I know I haven't used them all up, and I've lost them, so I'm not sure where to get refills on them. But we'll try and see. I have a standard international cartridge. I actually have a lot of them. Different brands. This one is the only one that seems to have a chance of fitting, so let's see if we can fit this in. The problem is the barrel's so short that the cartridge gets stuck. So let's see, real time. Yeah, doesn't seem to be working. There, it fits. Okay, fits here. Yeah, that doesn't close all the way because it gets stuck right there. So this is gonna take a while. This is gonna take a while to fill up. So I guess we wait. So the feeds has gotten a chance to kind of saturate. So let's see how this thing works. So it doesn't screw all the way back in, it just screw up to here. But that cartridge is a little bit too long, so it's just stuck. Which kind of gives me a little bit more length, but it's bad for the capping. Let's see how this writes. The click. So it's a bit dry, I think. A bit dry of a writer. It's probably a medium. Didn't cost much. It's very lightweight and it's very uncomfortable in the hand because it's really tiny, and I guess you could post it to make it a little bit longer, but the plastic is really bad plastic. The cap's all cracked, and I've actually taped this together just so it would snap on, and because of that, this pen actually I think dried out really quickly, so I stopped using it. Yeah, and it's really tiny. Also, as an undergraduate, I used to use like really bad paper. That's all I had. This is a little bit more of a medium tip, so this probably bled through all of my paper, so it was very unsatisfying as a writing experience. And can't use this now. This didn't really launch me down the rabbit hole, so to speak, but it was one of the first ones I bought, and I just loved the thought of the mechanics of how a fountain pen worked, and I wanted to try it out, so this was like my introduction to it. Not a very good introduction. A couple of years later, my dad got me this. This is a Parker. I believe it's a Vector. Not 100% sure. It's white plastic, and as you can see, white was probably a bad idea. It's all stained, and stuff. I use this a lot when I was teaching class, and I would get my hands really dirty with dry erase marker, and then I'd hold the white pen so it's all stained. Plastic's not the best quality, it's actually kind of bumpy. It is still inked up, I believe. It came with a cartridge, but no converter, and it takes a proprietary converter, so it took me a while to find one. This is a push-pull converter. This is a red ink. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I used this. Hasn't dried out yet, but it's been a while, so I don't remember what ink this is. But let's see. Parker. Looks like a really bright red. I'm not even sure what kind of nib this is. I believe this is a fine. Yeah, fine. And for what I was using it for, it worked fairly well. I mean, it wrote. I used it mainly for signatures. I used a Parker Blue Black Quink in it. I didn't like the color very much. It wasn't very satisfying. I didn't find bottled inks till much later. It's kind of a hard starter. I believe it might be an issue of baby's bottom going on here. Yeah, crappy paper can draw the ink out really well, though. Bleeds a lot, but the writing works. Yeah, and this was the only pen I had for a few years there. About something like 6-7 years, maybe. That's what I had. So this is actually kind of a bit old, as you can tell from the cracking and staining. So yeah, I still kind of liked the mechanism of the fountain pen, but this wasn't really the one that like drew me in. The next pen I got for myself. My dad bought me this. The next pen I got for myself, and this was the Pilot Metropolitan. I've had this one for about maybe 5-6 years. No. Maybe closer to 3 or 4, this one. Also kind of scratched the barrel. I mean the cap. I dropped the cap in on a dirt road somewhere and might have stepped on it trying to find it. This one I love. Kind of a bit of a dirty nib there. Let's wipe it off. This one I love. This is a Pilot Metropolitan in Fine. This got me hooked. So this writes really, really well. I believe I've tuned this to be a little bit wetter. This is the... I believe this is PR. So it's much wetter. It's a much more comfortable writing experience. I feel like I don't have to bear down, as opposed to with a Parker. I believe, again, because of probably the baby's bottom I have going on there. This I can actually squeeze a little bit of line variation out of. Probably not something you should do on the regular. Be very, very, very careful. Yeah, so we have a little bit of line variation there. But if you push it too hard, then the ink kind of burps. Because you're separating the nib from the feed, so it draws out a lot of ink. But very comfortable writing experience, very nice. Fine. Can write really, really quickly with this. So this is the first one that got me hooked on fountain pens. This came with a squeeze converter. No cartridge. No, there was one cartridge. Was there one cartridge? I don't remember anymore. And then, once I started using this, I read a lot of reviews after I'd gotten this. Starter pens to get and buy and stuff. So the next one I got was a Platinum Preppy. This Preppy, I've scratched off the label, so it's completely clear barrel. It wasn't this exact one. I think it was a black one. That one I gave to my mom because she asked for it. Was it black or blue? Yeah, but this is, similar to, in 0.3. So this is the fine, not the extra fine. This one I have inked up with, I believe it's either Australian Roses by Noodlers or Rouge Opera by J.R. Bond. I don't remember. I don't really use this for writing so much, so the cartridge that it comes with is fairly large. So I already finished out the original platinum ink that came in it. I just refilled it, syringed in some bottled ink. I don't use this for writing. I use this mostly for highlighting or notes, so I don't go through the ink really, really quickly. So this was the next pen I got after the Metropolitan because of all the recommendations for good starter pens. Platinum. Preppy. It's pink. We gotta find a more interesting sentence to write. The lazy dog. Yeah. So this is a bit of a stiffer nib than this one. So basically these are my gateway pens. I like the Preppy in the sense that it's much cheaper than this. This costs about 3 times as much as this one. This one is plastic, but it seems to be holding up really well. There's no cracking. I kind of like the Preppy as a knockabout pen. So after I dropped this, I kept this very, very carefully in a case. And this one I would just stick in my shirt pocket, in my pocket, in my shirt pocket, or in my neckline. Just hang it there. So just a pen I could grab really, really quickly. I got this in an extra fine as well for writing on crappy paper. Because, student life. Yeah, I prefer, though, writing with this. Apparently I like a heavier pen. I like the fact that the grip section is tapered. This one is very cylindrical. It's very slightly tapered. I like the sharper taper here. It's a little bit more comfortable for my hands. And I like the weight of this, but I will use my Preppies a lot. I actually have another one that I've eyedroppered, scratched off the label, eyedroppered it. This has a really dark green, almost blackish ink. This is a much finer one. This is 0.2. So these are knockabout pens that I don't mind dropping. I did buy a converter for these. I just got one because the only one I could find was the glass converter, and the glass converter actually costs twice as much as the pen with a cartridge. So, yeah, I put that away somewhere, and I'm just using the eyedropper and refilling this cartridge. So I'm not scared of breaking anything, and, you know, if it does break, it doesn't cost me much. So those are the first 4 pens that I ever bought, that I ever used. 4 fountain pens that I ever used. So those are my starters. And if I were asked to choose which one to use, to get first, or which one I prefer, actually, I would say Metropolitan. All the way.